Let's talk about Monday Night Raw.
Monday Night Raw.
May 25th. Opening match was Apollo Crews actually going over Andrade, which caught me by surprise, and winning the United States Championship. What do you think about that?
Shocker. I mean, we've seen them draw a liking to Apollo over the last few weeks, but damn, this is a surprise, especially coming at the expense of Andrade, who's been working through this entire pandemic. Has been the man to me. Hopefully they're setting him up for a world title shot. But shout out to Apollo Crews, who's been fucking working his ass off forever and finally gets his due. So yeah, happy day, but shocker because I'm rooting for Andrade. Hopefully he gets a title shot.
I mean, yeah, this is to me the right guy at the wrong time. I'm not ready for Apollo Crews to do anything significant because he hasn't found his character. Like, he cuts a promo before this match. Sounds horrible. Not interested in Apollo Crews talking. He needs a mouthpiece, in my opinion. He's great in the ring. He has a great physique, but being great in the ring can get you but so far. I'm okay. He's the right guy to win this type of title. I'm okay with a guy like this winning the United States title. It's my least favorite title besides the 24/7 title. So I'm okay with well, I'm in WWE. It's my least favorite title. It really is. But Andrade should not be losing to Apollo Crews.
Yeah.
Not like this. No. Like, Andrade needs to be protected, in my opinion. He's a guy you can plug into the main event. That entire group with Zelina and Garza and Andrade, without Theory, I love that they did that. I was totally okay with that. He did not fit in with this group. He looked so much better in Seth's group. Yep. I like that they saw something wasn't working or didn't look right, and they called the audible. I love that they did that. But that group, Zelina, her people don't need to be losing. Not for a long time. We need to. If you see somebody who gets over like this, and I'm like, they pretty much carried the show for I don't know how many straight weeks. It felt like they were the most interesting thing on the show, which is not hard. It's not easy to do, But when you have so many stars in WWE to kind of steal the segments every week for like a month straight, I want to see them, continue to kick ass. I'm okay with them getting Andrade away from the U.S. title, but I don't know if this is the right way to do it. I don't know if Apollo's credible enough right now.
I mean, I wasn't shocked at all. I remember when I was watching the match last night, I was like, Crews is winning the title. And here's the reason why, right? For Apollo Crews, WWE is working at trying to elevate him. The last time that he wrestled Andrade, he lost because he apparently in storyline he messed up his leg, which was a storyline way to get him out of the Money in the Bank match, which ultimately was the best thing that they could. That was like a blessing in disguise for Apollo Crews to not be involved in that match. Now, in winning the championship, listen, for a guy like Andrade, considering that he's been losing every week to Drew McIntyre for over the last month, you're right, I don't like it either. But it's actually, I'm okay with him losing the title to Apollo Crews because this is what ends up happening, right? You get the U.S. title off of Andrade, which I guess WWE, it almost seems like it was a bit of an albatross to Andrade. With him, Selena Vega, and Garza now as a unit with no title, you can do a lot more stories with them. I honestly think that Andrade is going to get built to be a challenger after Lashley for the WWE title. So to get the U.S. title off of him is actually a good thing to do because you want to build him up in a different fashion. Apollo Crews, the way that you're going to elevate him now, no promos, no nothing that he's cut is going to get him over. And he's been booked so poorly his entire run in WWE that putting a title on him right now, especially the U.S. title that is not viewed as like anything special, it's an opportunity for both. It's an opportunity for hopefully the title to get elevated and Crews to elevate with it. I know that generally it doesn't, the rule of thumb doesn't work that way, but in a situation like this, who knows? Let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens.
Okay, so
it almost feels like because of the pandemic, it almost feels like there's placeholders everywhere.
Here's the thing though for Apollo Crews, the one thing that was really good last night, and again, thank you WWE. You're 2 months late to the party, but they finally got some semblance of human beings in the crowd. So with that, knowing that once Apollo Crews cut his promo after he won the title, and it seemed like the NXT crew was sincerely happy for him, that added to it. It would have been like a fart in church had he won that title with nobody there. It's just like it would have been terrible. But the fact that there was some life in the crowd, it made it somewhat more palatable. So thank you WWE for joining the party. You're 2 months late, but welcome.
And of course they had to put the WWE stink on this fucking very simple concept. They had to put the hockey glass shields, which they don't look bad, so I'm okay with it. That's not what bothered me.
There's a reason for it.
They took. Well, yeah, whatever. I mean, it's fine. That doesn't bother me. It's a unique look, so it looked different than every other show. So you have that going for you. But you have every wrestler standing in their little marked territory. They have their arms like at their thighs, kind of like this. They're not allowed to move their arms. It look like. They all look like robots. They're all doing the exact same thing at the same exact time. It's almost like, I don't know, they probably had 30 wrestlers total, maybe more, depending on what was happening behind the hard cam. Which, hey, the more the merrier for me. But I wouldn't be surprised if they all had like the little earpieces, and they were all being told, okay, now Vince McMahon's like, damn it, everybody go hooray.
What they need to have is on the hard camera side, there's the little thing with the lights, like in the game shows, to say applause,
yes.
Boo.
And at least there were a few people that I wish weren't in the crowd.
Shotzi Blackheart was one of them.
In AEW, I don't mind. I don't care who's in the crowd, because if they're allowed to be themselves, they're kind of just themselves. I'm just here. I'm just supporting. This didn't feel like this. This is like, we're gonna make them look like fans. We're gonna put T-shirts on them. They all had a WWE main roster T-shirt on. Everyone. No one cut the sleeves off. No one put a little flair on it. No one wore a hat. No one wore a bandana. No one wore makeup. No one wore earrings.
I felt like the video game crowd, the made-up cartoon crowd.
Which I'm okay with, but I wish there was a few NXT talents that I was like, if you're going to do this, put the people that we have never seen on NXT television. Put them all out there, because we don't know who they are anyway.
I will say this. The fact that WWE is experimenting with having an audience out there is good.
It's great.
Still, it's not as organic, and it's not as cool as what AEW is doing. So that is definitely the case. In round one, WWE still got to figure it out. Now, the thing is that with, again, my gripe at times with the AEW stars, especially the guys that should be considered upper tier talents, I'm like, I wouldn't have them in the crowd, only because of the fact that, if they're going to be acting silly and goofy for the sake of, and then go out there and then do whatever they're going to do when they're in the ring, it's again, they might say, hey, it's different rules, it's a different platform. My perspective is, if you're a wrestler, don't play wrestler, be a wrestler. And if you're gonna be in the audience sitting there and watching, you better stay in character. Whether you're a heel, a babyface, a cartoon character, a badass, whatever it is, you better be that person. When you see that little red light on, you better be as close to that person as possible, because then what ends up happening is that you look fake, and then it makes everything else around you by osmosis look fake too.
That's what I appreciate about what AEW does, because they have the heels on one side, baby faces on the other side. So you're literally hearing boo, yeah, boo.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
it
it's
feels more
cool. Don't get
organic.
me wrong. It's cool. I like what they've been doing. I mean, there have been some instances that I've been like rolled my eyes, but whatever. But for the most part, that's been the best thing on AEW. Like that idea that AEW had about putting an audience out there and creating that ambiance and creating that was super cool and made their show a lot more palatable to watch. So kudos to them. They did a fantastic job with that.
All right. I actually liked this segment, the Iconics, and they come out to cut a promo, and it's a pretty good promo. I mean, these girls are really good on the stick. And they pretty much have to come face to face with Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss. They basically, call out the champs. They say, we should be the champs and all this, and they are fired up. I really love how they came across. They came across. I don't want them to lose that natural funny side of them, because they're so funny. They're so, they're like adorable to me. I really like their mic work and their character work. But just this promo alone, I'm ready to see them win the straps.
Yeah, I mean, they made the division relevant, honestly, because what's going on there? You can't really name more than 2 tag teams, unfortunately, besides these two. So hopefully they'll elevate the division. They deserve to have the belts. I mean, as does Alexa and Nikki Cross, but hopefully they'll help elevate the division, which is really lacking.
This is one of those moments where I keep telling myself, is like, as much as I appreciate the fact that WWE wants to have women's tag team titles, this is one of the reasons why sometimes it can be a little off-putting, because they don't have any real, the only established team, like the Iconics, are the only established tag team in the women's division, meaning they came in as a package. They're a team.
Yeah.
Everybody else has always been some makeshift combination. They're the only two that come in as a team, as a package.
As a unit. Yeah.
My issue with the Iconics has always been is that, yes, they're naturally very charismatic and they can be funny, and and they do those kinds of promos. But my whole thing is, funny's not money, meaning you can be funny and you can have comedy laced to it, but if you're going to be, again, if you're going to be Santino Marella, for lack of a better term, if you're going to be Santino Marella, you ain't going to be a champion. It's like with R-Truth, like, we love him. He can do no wrong in my world. But if he was to be wrestling for the WWE title, I'd be like, this is bullshit. So it's no different with the Iconics. They can be funny, but they have to find an edge. And I like the fact that in this promo they found an edge. But the person who stole this on the stick was actually Nikki Cross. Nikki Cross got on the microphone and got a chance to cut a promo to where she used her real life struggles coming from Scotland to the United States, and clawing and scratching and fighting her way there, and then she was able to implement that into story with the Iconics, knowing that they've worked the independents and NXT. They all came up together, so it worked out really, really well. Now, when the Iconics went and laid the champions out, perfectly done. It's very simple. Lay down the champions try to fire up a little bit, they get cut off, then the heels leave them laying. The champs are laying flat on their back, and the Iconics walk out looking like badasses in that segment. Excellently done. So as far as I'm concerned, keep the momentum going, and whatever you do with the Iconics, keep building on this momentum and don't go back to making them comedy characters, because if you do that, you put the titles on them, it's basically the same situation they were in the last time they were champions. They're the only team that's an established unit package for a tag team, but they're comedy wrestlers, so you can't take them seriously, and they're the champions. So be careful about that.
Look, if I'm WWE right now, after Nikki Cross cuts that promo, and look, you have to come to the realization, like, look, she can be pretty good, like, on the mic. Alexa's great on the mic. These girls aren't necessarily the best workers. I don't think they're bad at all, but you can really get a good program, promo after promo after promo. Everyone is good at talking. That's awesome. Let's take advantage of that and really highlight their strengths.
Yep, and I think with Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss, even though they're a makeshift team, they actually work out really well. And I think, again, like I said, I don't know the state of Alexa Bliss's health, but I know that a lot of those concussions, I mean, working tag team matches are better for her because she only has to take half the bumps. So, you know, that's the reason why, like, you can have these four work against each other back and forth, you know, for the foreseeable future. Hopefully you can build some other tag teams because, man, oh, man, if it's just the two of them, you know, they can only wrestle each other so many times before we're like, okay, can I please get something else, you know?
Angel Garza. Well, Kevin Owens makes his way to the ring. Angel Garza pretty much attacks him from behind, clips his leg. It looks devastating. It looks really, really bad in a good way. And Angel Garza basically beats Kevin Owens' ass, but it doesn't make Kevin look bad because, like I said, that it looks like he injured him storyline-wise. Like he messed up his leg, takes full advantage of this, and beats him quick and pretty definitively, and then gets him after the match. This was awesome. Angel Garza is going to be a star. You need to realize this now. Kevin Owens, to me, is a star who we need to take care of, and you know, keep him good enough, strong enough that he gets a match at Mania. So you keep wearing them cool KO Mania shirts. But if you're gonna beat KO, they did it the right way. You know, this all makes sense. I'm so happy that Angel Garza is getting this opportunity because these two guys could really tear the house down, if you know, at a pay-per-view. And you know, I'm all for that. So you know, I'm really happy how this turned out.
Yeah, I agree. Shout outs to KO for selling that leg. Fucking pro. Selling the leg the whole match. Goes for the pop-up. I can't do it. Gets dropped. Was great. Like, these two definitely, hopefully, go at it for the next couple of weeks. I'm excited for the future of Garza and Andrade as a unit. Hopefully they figure out a way to get any title back on these guys, because I want to see them in any title picture. But yeah, it was a really enjoyable sequence between these two, and shit, put them on next week.
I mean, this is the perfect example of the established star, for lack of a better term, the established star Kevin Owens doing the correct job for the guy on the rise. Meaning, Garza gets a big win against an established talent. Yes, Garza cheated. So what? He's the heel. That's what you're supposed to do. What Garza's admitting by jumping Owens before the match starts, he's admitting that Kevin Owens is tougher or too much for him to go one-on-one. He needed the advantage. Perfect heel thing to do. Kevin Owens then plays the babyface tough guy like, no, I'm not. I'm going to stay in this match. I'm going to fight. He's a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest. He's already at an extreme handicap before the match even starts. They work the match. Garza works the leg. Smart thing to do. Good wrestling. Then when Kevin Owens attempts to make his comeback, he's firing up. He's making his comeback. He's about to hit his finish. You need two legs to hit that pop-up power bomb. You need two legs to do it. So then his leg gives out. Garza beats him. Fine. Then he gets the heat at the end. That's perfect. What you're doing is that you're establishing Garza now as an individual talent. Because now with Theory gone, and now it's Garza and Andrade with Selena as the trio, that works perfectly. They don't need to be a tag team. No. There's no they shouldn't be a team. Keep them as two individual talents because they're both excellent talents. The thing is with Garza is that now you're moving him out of the cruiserweight division, NXT, whatever, and you're establishing him in the main roster. Kevin Owens did the right thing. This is a perfect example of two guys going in and both guys looking better at the end. Both guys got over. Excellently done. And then now you have a story to tell, because now what does Kevin Owens want? He wants a receipt. That's how you get a rematch, boys and girls. Excellently done.
All right. My favorite segment. Not Viking Raiders, Street Profits. This shit needs to end immediately. I cannot believe that no one in the back, they have 76 writers. They got 40 producers.
Anybody.
They got 20,000 people on the board. No one knows that this shit is not funny. Like, I don't mind comedy at all. I do not mind comedy. If it's funny. When Edge and Christian did comedy, give me more of that. Kurt Angle did comedy. Steve Austin did comedy. Give me more. Mick Foley, give me more. If I'm laugh, I want more. These guys have had, now 3 times, right? This is the 3rd comedy, 4th. This is the
feels
4th.
longer, bro.
3 or 4, yeah.
You had the karaoke was the first one for the Viking Raiders, and then they had basketball,
the
axe throwing,
now golf.
Holy shit!
and now golf. You've had 4 chances. The Viking Raiders have had 4 chances. The Street Profits are funny, but they're being buried because I am so annoyed during the segment that I'm not even if Montez is saying something funny, I don't even notice. I don't even notice because these segments are so bad. They would have been perfect for Miz and Morrison. Why is this not Miz and Morrison?
Oh my God, yeah.
Miz and Morrison would have killed all of this shit. They would have killed all of this, and they could have ended it with a rap battle. And that's it. Next week, rap battle. That's it. We go to the pay-per-view.
How perfect would it be? Miz Morrison and Miz Morrison and the New Day doing this would be incredible.
Well, the Street Profits are fine. Street Profits are funny. They are funny. But they're not funny enough to save the Viking Raiders, who are now my least favorite fucking tag team in all of wrestling. Like, I'm sorry. I don't know what you're trying to get out of this. These are not the right people to do it. All you got to do is find the right fucking guys, and now it's too damn late. It's too damn late. And now I don't want to see. I don't trust you guys with any comedy anymore. Ugh.
These poor guys work their ass off to be a badass tag team. To all of a sudden, in the span of 4 weeks, be a fucking joke.
See, this is
it's tough to watch. I mean, maybe I don't know. Just put them in the fucking ring. We don't care. These guys can just be in the ring for 4 straight weeks, and I'm sure we would love it. I'm sure they would bust their ass for 4 straight. Just give us the same match back and forth. I'm sure they would kill it. Maybe one of these segments in the span of the 4 weeks, maybe even 2. But yeah, it's too much. It's too much. Over it.
Ugh. See, this is the perfect example of WWE trying to create a personality for guys that don't need it. What I mean by that is, right, the Viking Raiders, War Machine, Hanson and Rowe. Why can't they just be War Machine? Hanson and Rowe. They're badasses. They're monsters. They just smash through everybody. Why can't they just be that? Again, all of this, the only thing that they've done is they've killed the Viking Raiders. They've completely killed the Viking Raiders. The Street Profits, yes, the Street Profits are very entertaining and they're very funny and they work well in this environment. The thing is, my dude, you're the tag team champions. Somebody needs to tell Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins that they are the tag team champions.
Yeah.
Your time, your energy, your focus should not be on, basketball or axe throwing or golf or next week bowling or whatever else they're going to do. For goodness sake, just stop it already. This should have ended after the first match they had when it was a babyface versus babyface match that the Viking Raiders won. Stupidly, they won this match. It should have been the Street Profits go over, the Viking Raiders lose their noodles, they beat their asses, leave them laying, and now you have a story to tell. The Viking Raiders are heels, Street Profits are baby faces. Tag team titles on the line. Let's go. Easy. And we don't have this month of garbage that we've been presented on Monday Night Raw every week. For heaven's sake, it's
At
not
least let it
that hard.
self-destruct during, like, I would love it even if the self-destructs, like, during a game. They're playing a game. You know what? Fuck this. Just have at it during the game. Like, hit each other with golf clubs, baseball bats. Please save it.
No, because then that let me tell you something, because that buries them even more. Can you imagine a guy the size of Hanson or Rowe swinging a golf club at you and connecting, and you being able to get up and retaliate? That's
leave them laying, please. Just heel turn, just swing something, knock somebody out, beat somebody up.
That needs to be done in the ring. They need to do it in the ring and break them in the ring.
Do they get a lot of YouTube views? What are the YouTube comments? Now I'm gonna go spend my night going down the rabbit hole.
Here's the thing about it, right? These are the kinds of things, and I understand that social media now is a metric in which, you know, these promotions use. And listen, I get it. It should be used as part of your research in terms of, hey, what are we going to put on our show? But if you let it dominate, even slightly dominate, and you put this kind of garbage, you can have all the YouTube views you want. You know what it is? It's people looking at this, be like, look at this garbage, look at these ass. They're like, no. The presentation, you have basically taken Hanson and Rowe, two badasses that have wrestled all over the world and have always been presented as monsters. Probably, I might be stretching when I say this, probably this generation's version of the Road Warriors in terms of the way they were smashing over people. I might be stretching a little bit when I say that, but the closest thing to it. And now you bring them here and you're making them cartoon characters. Like, come on, dude. Come on, man. The Viking Raiders, there's not a whole lot of science behind that. That's about as simple, you know, it's booking 101. Like, it's not that hard. The insistence of having these guys do this to try to find personality, I get it. You're trying to find comedy. It's bad comedy. Nobody looks good doing it. I mean, even if you would have been able to get a moment where, like, the Viking Raiders can look like they have some personality, if they were, like, really cool dudes, like funny haha dudes, I would still not be happy about it because the visual against what I'm seeing doesn't work. But there might be something, but it's just like, dude, they're not funny. They don't have that personality. And what it does is that it makes them look like crap, and it brings the Street Profits down with them because they're not good enough to elevate them in that scenario.
Okay, let me give you.
The sad part is that the Street Profits, me, don't suffer in this at all.
All right, let me give you some. I'm checking out the YouTube views. So, okay, on YouTube for Raw, we got the Street Profits got 142,000 views, which is pretty good. But let's compare. So the Iconics got 336,000 views. And
those girls are hotter. I'd want to look at them too. I don't want to.
Okay, so I give you one better. Rob Gronkowski, shitty ass promo got 168,000 views. Basically, the Street Profits and Viking Raiders, the only person they were able to beat in terms of views was Apollo Crews cutting promos, 50,000 views, and Nia Jax cutting a promo, 45,000 views. Everybody else shitted on this.
What are the likes to dislikes?
Give me a second, because now I gotta open this shit up.
It's gonna probably be somewhere in like that 50-50 range. Actually, no, maybe not. Maybe not. No, maybe not. I don't know about that.
Give me 1 second. God. No, it's not bad. The likes to dislikes. They got a lot of likes.
It's like, again, you know, this is the reason why if WWE is producing these segments for YouTube content, that it.
Yeah, but it's not getting good numbers, so it's like, why they think it's funny. That's what I'm gonna tell you. They think it's funny,
and it's not.
Vince McMahon thinks it's fucking funny because Vince McMahon, he doesn't like, I don't know, whatever.
It's not. Listen, well, at the end of the day, I'm always gonna say funny is not money. If you are naturally a funny, charismatic person who can be able to use that funny side of your character to be able to put butts in seats, sell tickets, and make me want to see you in your match, in your fight, that's one thing. But if you're writing comedy for the sake of comedy to try to get people to pop and laugh, it's garbage. No matter, even if you accomplish your goal of making people laugh, it's still not funny, because at the end of the day, people are laughing at what you're doing, but they're not taking you seriously in terms of the objective of what professional wrestling is. It's a simulated combat sport. The way that you want to get people interested, because there's a conflict. There's a conflict between however many people, and you want to settle it in a fight. Simulated combat sport.
Okay, then we have Austin Theory and Buddy Murphy, who defeated Aleister Black and Humberto Carrillo. You got Austin Theory hitting his finish on Carrillo. Then after the match, you have Seth pretty much calling for them to get a little extra heat on him. Aleister is going to go defend him. Seth threatens him. Put the chair down, or we're going to take out this guy's eyes the way we did Ray. Ray was a sacrifice. Don't make me sacrifice your boy. Aleister puts the chair down. Yeah, I mean, I think Seth is doing really good work. I like Austin Theory in this group. He fits, like I said before, he fits in much better here than he did with Zelina's crew. And he got some new pants, and those look cool. He looks cool. It's like Seth, ever since this heel turn, to me, he looks cool. His shape-up is always fresh. His mic work has improved. You know, the only thing that didn't improve was the music. But besides that, I'm all for it. I'm all for everything that Seth is doing. I'm not the biggest Austin Theory fan, but it's fine. They made sure not to pin Aleister. I think at the end of this, if this is to set up Aleister and Seth's going to help elevate Aleister a little bit and bring him up to his level, then I'm cool. It's all good. They're also bringing in that Ray element. So are we doing a 3-on-3? Is Ray going to eventually come back to set up a 3-on-3? I guess that's what we're going to do. So, that's pretty cool. It's, that should lead to some good matches. So,
Yeah, they look fucking dope. On the ramp, black and white gear, Seth in a suit, pointing fingers. They look great. To me, it kind of felt like they were trying to recruit these guys. So I don't know what's going to come of it, but it kind of felt like they were trying to recruit them. I don't see either of them fitting in with this crew, but I would love for them to just be that faction that just goes around and bullies the whole fucking roster. I'm with that. I'm just wondering what came of big dudes that were running with him.
The AOP.
Oh,
AOP.
I don't know.
One of them got injured, and that's the reason why they're both off TV.
I see. All right.
Well, there you go. And when they come back, I don't mind if they plug them right in with this crew, because they're going to be dangerous, and you don't even have to have these guys work.
That's what
and
they
can also work the tag, because these guys don't have to work in tags. Murphy and Theory. So you can have AOP work tag against the tag division.
They probably won't plug them back in, but I would love to see a big faction just run them muck all over the fucking roster, but probably not for now. Probably for when we get fans in the seats.
Part of me actually is would think here that in a situation like this, right? I'm actually really enjoying the work that Seth Rollins has been doing as a heel, and it's not because of the work that Seth Rollins is doing. His matches are always good, so it's like I'm not. When I look at Seth Rollins' work, like his personal body of work, there's very little that he can do. There's nuances that he can add, but like his work is already so good that it's kind of difficult to spot those differences in his individual body of work. However, what he's done with this faction is that he's gotten Buddy Murphy, who was floundering on 205, brought him up to the main roster, elevated him. Austin Theory, another guy, came from Evolve, got to NXT, got brought up to the main roster as a fill-in, and they kept him on. They was like, okay, now we're moving you on from Selena's group, but we'll bring you in with Seth Rollins. Perfectly done. The AOP, a group that, again, just for some reason starts and stops with these guys. They've just never been able to get their footing once they left NXT, but they bring them in with Rollins' group and they automatically look like main eventers, even though their work is not good enough to be rolling with Rollins, quite frankly. They're just not, as a team, they're just not that great. There's something missing. Their work has been great. This match was fun. Obviously, Aleister Black, I understand the storyline. I don't know where the Humberto Carrillo part comes in, but I'm guessing he just needed a partner, so they worked the match. Again, like my criticisms about tag team matches in general is that it seems like a lot of times when guys are doing their comebacks, it almost seems like they just do a bunch of moves to each other, and it doesn't seem to have like a clear focus on I'm trying to win the match. When the heels get their heat, the heels are trying to win, but the baby face doesn't seem to do enough to like, hey, stay alive, but don't die. Fire up, but don't fire up completely. All those little hope spots, those are just things that I don't see in the matches. In the continuity of a tag team match, it works really well. You get, what they call the baby face in peril. That's what you want. And I think that with Humberto Carrillo, he was perfect for that role because, he's a good-looking baby face. Like, he's a big, tough dude. So you can get him down, you can hurt him, he can fire up, not die, and then you want to make the hot tag to Aleister Black, which they did correctly, because when Humberto Carrillo finally got away from them and the heels made the exchange, that simultaneous tag stuff, it drives me nuts. I hate it. I'm like, listen, give it a pause. Hey, he'll make the tag, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, babyface tag, boom, and then you get that hot tag, and then you can get some action going. They did it on Monday Night Raw. They did it. Thank God. They do, Aleister Black gets his spot, fires up, baby faces are back in control. But for some reason, it always seems then, Carrillo gets tagged back in, and I'm like, you were getting your tail kicked for like 8 minutes. How do you tag back in, a minute and change later? Like, again, it's the logic of the match. Doesn't make sense. I'm like, if I got my ass kicked by two 220-pound dudes for 8 to 10 minutes, I'm not going to be getting up to help you a minute later.
Yeah.
It's like, sorry, Holmes, it's 2-on-1 for at least a little while. Let me get some oxygen over here. So it's those things. The finish was fine. It was good for Austin Theory to get the win because, with Buddy Murphy, he's been in that group longer, so he's kind of been established more. You want to have Austin Theory get that big win. Because now in the tag team match, you can pair off the singles matches. And now when WWE was mentioning that, hey, Rey Mysterio is going to do a retirement thing next week, I was like, that's BS. Now you're going to have the 6-man matches because now Mysterio, Carrillo, and Aleister Black are now going to wrestle against this trio team. And it's going to be fun matches. So I think that realistically, particularly for Rey Mysterio and Seth Rollins, they've taken 4 guys. Because I include Aleister Black in this, because even though Aleister Black is really a cool-looking character that came from NXT, but all 4 of those guys were underneath talents. And they've essentially, Rey Mysterio and Seth Rollins have elevated all 4 of them to where they are now. And then hopefully all 6 of these guys, listen, Rey Mysterio is a legend. Seth Rollins is Seth Rollins. They're going to be fine. But those 4 guys, now they're building the foundation for the future. That's what I really like, is that they're using it to build the foundation for, future. And if the AOP comes back, I'm kind of iffy. Part of me would actually like to see Seth Rollins turn on them and actually have the AOP turn babyface and kind of turn them like the Road Warriors type thing, where, they're the big badass babyfaces who now want to get back at the heels, but the heels need more guys. So I think that Rollins needs 2 more guys in that group. Have a group of 5, they're perfect. But I don't think that the Authors of Pain are going to be those 2 guys. It should be 2 other dudes who are bigger guys, but are really good workers and can be able to somehow neutralize the Authors of Pain. Who they are, I don't know yet, but stay tuned. We'll work it out.
Okay, then we have we got the Edge promo I'm not gonna say much about this. You know, Edge is Edge. He's really good at showing emotion, and you know, his I'm gonna call it eye work. He works you with his eyes. He's so good at that. I don't know how he does that. Like
This is the money right here, boys. Right here. Right here. This is where the money is. Right here. Right here.
He had Vic sold with his eyes.
Yeah, he's he can get you with his eyes, but look, I don't like the greatest match of all time gimmick that we're doing. Greatest wrestling match of all time. I mean, if this is to set up a name change for Edge and he's going to go from the rated R superstar to the greatest wrestler of all time, or
that's Ric Flair's gimmick, bro.
I mean,
it almost. So let me get this straight. Edge is going to come out. He's going to the greatest wrestler of all time.
Let me tell you,
Edge.
No,
there is
the whole
like
Tony
Shane
Timo,
O'Mac.
the rated R superstar. That's cool. That's cool. Not that. Other
yes, it is cool. Rated R superstar is fine, but maybe Edge is like, look, I'm getting old. I have a wife. I can't be the rated R superstar. And Vince is like, we're gonna make you the greatest wrestler of all time, damn it. And we're gonna ram it down everyone's throats. Look, I just want to hurry up and get this match.
In the world.
I want to hurry up and get this match over. And you know what? You know how much they don't like CM Punk. They're like the best in the world thing. They can say the greatest wrestler. Like, they're gonna do it.
Listen, go ahead, Chris. I'll let you go. And then
they're not pushing this fucking greatest thing down your throat for no reason. It's for a reason. I don't agree with it. I think I'd rather you just, get everybody excited. Samoa Joe did a great job. I don't know if y'all peeped it in commentary. He goes, this could be. Samoa Joe's not going to fuck up his credibility. He's like, look, y'all can say all the dumb shit y'all want to say. But Samoa Joe was like, look, this might be one of the greatest matches of all time. He's not going to say this will be the greatest match of all time and bury himself. Meanwhile, everybody else taking orders from Vince. The greatest match of all time. I still think it's going to be a great match. I hope it's a really great match.
We know what this is. This is all about WrestleMania match, right? So they got the mixed reviews. They didn't get what they were expecting, and it might be Edge's idea off of that interview he gave where he's slapping the fans back in the face. It could just be that. So I think this is just them telling us, hey, forget WrestleMania. We're going to give you an even better match this time. If you didn't like that, we're going to double down. So they'll probably give us another 40-minute classic.
But if they do 40 minutes in the ring, now they have people outside, it'll probably be a lot better. I think it'll be good.
I will say this.
In the ring.
I will say this. I enjoyed their match at WrestleMania for the story that they told. But the reason why this match is happening is because this is going to probably be a trilogy of matches, and what you want to have is you want to have 3 distinctly different matches. So you have the no rules last man standing match, which generally tends to be the last match of the trilogy. You don't start with that match first. But they had that match first, so now they're going the complete opposite. And want to have a Luthez versus Karl Gotch type wrestling match. It's not going to be that because in 2020 you can't have that style of match. But these guys are pros; they know what they're doing, and they're going to be able to tell a fantastic story within the confines of what a more traditional wrestling match looks like. But this is a match that is meant to be the second match of a 3-match series. Edge got over on the first one. Orton will win this one. And then they'll have a third match, and they'll find some other stipulation to do, whether it's some kind of, 2 out of 3 falls gimmick type match where it's like, we can have a street fight, a traditional wrestling match, Hell in a Cell type, whatever. They're going to close this out because this realistically is a story that you want to close out with it. like I said, I was fine with Edge not wrestling anymore after WrestleMania. I would have been totally fine with that. I'd be like, fine, I got the 40-minute match. I'm good. If I don't see you again, thank you very much. They're going with this match. I don't like the whole promoting of the greatest wrestling match ever. I think that's a bit much. But at the same time, I think that what WWE is trying to do is that they're really doubling down on this idea of like this is going to be a wrestling match. Whatever the end result is will be the end result, but I think that both of these guys are more than capable of pulling this off. Do I like the whole it's going to be the greatest wrestling match of all time? It's like, no, dude. It's like, come on, man. There's so much history in the WWE of how many great wrestling matches we've seen in WWE. I mean, listen.
Tough part is now you
with
got
all due respect to Randy Orton, with all due respect to Randy Orton and Edge, they're not Bret Hart, they're not Ric Flair, they're not Kurt Hennig, they're not Randy Savage, they're not Ricky Steamboat, on and on and on and on. I'm just giving you the first few names that came out of my head.
Hey, Lou.
I can drone on and on and on.
Lou, but they are good at this is my problem with that. These guys, yes, they're not those guys, but they're good enough to have an all-time great match. And yes, now you're going to annoy everybody, and you're setting this bar. The expectation now is ridiculously high. These guys don't need you to put this extra expectation. I've been saying before this pandemic, and we were going to get this at Mania, and I was telling everyone, Edge has been sitting on his ass for 9 years. To me, he's a genius. And if you hear him talk about wrestling, you're like, oh my God, this guy is so smart. And I was telling everyone this is gonna be the greatest match, like one of the greatest matches like ever. And it probably could be, but if you set the expectation high, it's like when you tell a friend, yo, this is my friend, he's funny. And then you introduce him to a group. You bring him into a room and introduce him to new people, and they look at him and they go, "Well, say something funny then."
And no punchline. The punchline sucks and it falls flat. Yeah, I got you.
It's like
I understand.
Like, me and Chris used to work together, and I would always tell him, give them a low expectation and over deliver. I would have preferred if they said this is gonna be the worst wrestling match of all time, because they could have gave us a stinker. It wasn't that bad. It was pretty good. They were wrong.
You can't promote. Listen, I understand where you're coming from.
I'm joking.
I understand where you're coming from, but you can't promote that. And the thing is, with guys like Edge and Orton, the bar's already very high with those two guys.
So high.
But speaking of Edge's promo is phenomenal, fantastic. All the different levels that he came into, having those conversations. And I mean, all the names that he mentioned and all the guys, I mean, it was from top to bottom. I don't know how long that promo lasted, maybe 3-4 minutes. And that was probably one of the best pieces of the Raw show last night. He was fantastic. He really was. Hats off to him. It was a great promo.
The other concern is that they're putting that greatest match ever on top of
it's the promotion for the damn pay-per-view.
Promotion for the show. It's the promotion for the show.
So what happens to everyone else?
They are not the best. They're going to have the second and third, fourth, the fifth, and sixth, however many matches are on that card. Like, listen. The promotion for the match, the promotion for the show is silly. Don't get me wrong. I don't like it either. But at the same time, they're just drilling it for whatever reason. I don't know why. I think
they want you. Yeah, you're right, Lou. They want you to get wrestling in your head. They want you to be exciting that you're finally gonna get the wrestling that you guys been begging for wrestling. You're gonna get some wrestling, and it's fine. It's gonna be fine anyway.
They're drilling it in your head. I don't know why, but
because that's just their style, Lou. You know how it is. They want you to
world wrestling entertainment. I mean, wrestling's in the marquee, bro. You don't
at least someone
wrestling is the entertainment. Hello.
Yes, at least someone has convinced them to use the word wrestling.
Oh my God!
Because the characters in the show are wrestling. Outside of the show, you can call them sports entertainers, but the characters in the show are wrestling. You don't have to avoid the word.
If I was a professional wrestler and somebody calls me a sports entertainer, I'd correct them every single time. Like,
exactly.
I'm a pro wrestler.
God damn it. Anyway, Nia Jax defeated Natty and Charlotte, and she is now the number one contender for the Raw Women's Championship. I got a few things to say about this match. For one, I don't know if I'm okay. I guess I'm okay because Asuka's reign just started, and if you want her to get a quick win, let's get Nia Jax in there. I don't like that Nia Jax cut a promo. I don't know if it was last week or 2 weeks ago, basically acting like she's a threat to Asuka. Asuka has beat her every time they've like. Do they think fans are stupid? I'm pretty sure that Asuka's like 5-0 in her. Asuka's legitimately like 5-0 against Nia Jax. She's never beaten her. You're not a threat to Asuka at all.
Well,
But anyway,
this is the beauty of being a heel. You can lie.
Yeah, that's good. That's fine. So they obviously were building up that she was gonna win this match. Charlotte recently lost a bit. Like you have Charlotte, who you're using her. So she's supposed to be a big deal. You're presenting her as a big deal on every show, but you had her lose to Bayley. Bayley's the one person who doesn't need to beat Charlotte. Like she doesn't need to face Charlotte. For me, right now, yes, eventually you can do that later. But for what you're doing with Charlotte now, so now when Charlotte dominates through NXT and dominates, but remember Bayley beat Charlotte. Whatever.
Well, I don't know how Bayley beat her. Did Sasha Banks get involved?
Sasha wasn't involved.
1-on-1, she rolled her up clean.
She asked her.
I didn't. Okay, because I saw the match, but I didn't see the finish. So
I don't mind.
She rolled her up, held onto the ropes.
Oh, so she cheated. Okay.
She did. But it was a 1-on-1 match.
That's fine. She cheated, so Charlotte had an out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
listen. I get it. I get it. She had an out though.
Who does this help? Charlotte lost. It doesn't help her. Bayley had to cheat to beat Charlotte, so Bayley's not as good as Charlotte.
I'll tell you why. WWE, they obviously WWE positioned Charlotte as the top female performer. That's how WWE positions her. So what WWE is doing, I don't know why. I think they're overexposing her, but they're having her work on all three shows so that she can have good to great matches with all the women. Now, the match with Charlotte and Bayley has been seen 1,000 times. The difference is that Bayley now being a heel, she's finally discovering that heel character, and it's finally now becoming a little more organic for Bayley, and she's doing a good job with it. Obviously, she's put on some muscle weight, so Bayley doesn't look like she's a little girl on top and then a woman, from the waist down kind of thing. Now she looks like an athlete. Like you can see in her back, she looks strong. She looks like she's been hitting the gym hard with the weights. What they're doing is that obviously with Bayley, you want to have that match with Charlotte because Charlotte is basically like, hey, I'm going to show you that I'm the queen and I'm going to beat everybody. What you do in a match like that is that even though Charlotte lost, obviously Bayley cheated. It fits to her character because she's a heel. Now what it does is because, again, you can't have Bayley work against all the same girls on SmackDown because she's basically beaten them all. And some of the girls on SmackDown right now have not been positioned as threats to her title. So you pair her against Charlotte so you can have a great TV match and hopefully get Bayley in. And does Bayley need to get over it? No, not like that. But she can't beat Charlotte clean because then that's the babyface thing to do. And then if Charlotte beats Bayley, then basically you've squashed the SmackDown Women's Champion. So you had to get an out. Again, these are great matches, but getting to the finish is always a problem. That's why those matches shouldn't be booked because you can't get to the finish.
Lou, that's my point. Don't book this match.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't have a problem with this, but it's all about timing. What you're doing with Charlotte right now, the story you're telling with Charlotte, I don't need to see her lose because if she loses to this person, but she's beating everybody else, it doesn't matter if Bayley's cheating or not. You can establish Bayley, becoming more heelish on every, they have the rule. They have the rule now that anybody can fight anybody whenever they want.
That should have always been the rule anyway.
Yeah, I know.
That should have always been the rule.
They have plenty of girls that Bayley can cheat and get that heat, and Charlotte does. Bayley and Charlotte
send Sasha in there. Send Sasha to do her dirty work.
I think that in a situation like that, it would have probably worked better had Sasha Banks gotten involved in the match because then you got a story to tell. Because really, the story that you're trying to tell with Bayley is that Bayley's the champion. And she's mouthing off and saying, I'm the best female worker in the world. But yet every single match that she wins, Sasha Banks has some involvement. So at some point, Sasha Banks is going to say, like, listen, you think you're badass, but without me, you ain't holding on to the strap, and I'm going to show you how when I beat you for it. And then, you can tell that story around that, or you can have a match where a Lacey Evans or a Naomi or whomever, they choose, WWE does, beats Bayley one-on-one with no Sasha Banks, and then Sasha can be like, see, you keep talking shit. You think you all that. You can't do
I was okay with that match. The match on Monday was a shit show to me. Just as it kicks off, I knew already, it was written down. Just looking at it, I'm like, Natty's gonna take the loss, and it's gonna be to Nia Jax. I already knew what was going on, which is fine. The execution of it was lacking for me. It was just, I see Natty doing this to Nia Jax. Clothesline comes, I'm like, then it's like botches here and there. It was just a total mess. Not what I expected from Charlotte and Natty, to say the least. But even with Nia Jax in there, it was a mess. It was a mess. I was looking forward to it, just seeing who was going to be involved. Didn't enjoy the match. I understood what was happening here.
I mean, it's funny because I see your point. There are parts of this match that I didn't like. I think overall I enjoyed it all right. I mean, I knew who was going to win the match from the beginning, and that was fine. I see. When I watch wrestling matches, more often than not, I know who's going to win. It's very it's not that often that I could watch a wrestling match and be surprised by the result. But it's a matter of sometimes it's like, okay, I can know who's going to win, and I knew that Charlotte was not taking the fall. I knew Natty was going to lose to Nia Jax. The question was, hey, how do you get there? How do you get there? Do you execute it properly and all this other jazz? Now, the storyline obviously is, and again, I as a side note, I loved Asuka on commentary, even though she was doing everything in Japanese and screaming. I thought it was actually quite funny.
Great.
There were some moments where I was like, hey, a little less, please, a little less. It's like I'd rather hear Samoa Joe and Tom Phillips, narrate the match. I don't need Asuka screaming. But anyway, as the match went through, I think the three women worked well together. I think that what ends up happening is that when you get any kind of a three-way match like this, or any multi-person match, or I should say any multi-person match, there's always the likelihood of it becoming a schmoz fest, because of the fact that you're trying to tell a story. You want all three women to look good. You have Charlotte Flair, who's obviously, she's not going to win this match, but she's not going to lose. So it almost feels like, okay, why is she in this match?
Ding, ding, ding.
She shouldn't be in this match. You could have had Natty Neidhart, Nia Jax, and a third. Jesus Christ! Name me somebody.
Anybody.
Name me some. No, not anybody, but name me somebody who could be in that match. One of the female wrestlers who can be. Listen. Well, not Shayna Baszler, because unless Shayna's going to win, she's not going to be in this match. But somebody else.
You could have had just them two.
Well, yes, but here's the thing about that match. The reason why those two, it wouldn't work that well, is because there's not enough of a story with the two of them. There just isn't enough of a story. You got to get you'd have to have a third person in there, because in all honesty, Natty Neidhart would not be able to realistically do anything to Nia Jax in a one-on-one setting and make it look believable. If you have a third person in there, they can double team her, and then they could do the big power moves and everything, but they can do it 2 against 1. I thought that the table spot, way too freaking much. Way too much. I'm like, no. God, no. Don't do that. You are not the main event. You're breaking the damn table. It's too much. Then when they did no, here's the thing, right? When they did the power bomb electric chair, superplex type move, I was like, okay,
Tower of Terror.
So the top, thank you, Tower of Terror, thank you. So you have Charlotte Flair on the top rope, you have Nia Jax going to superplex her, and you're going to tell me that Natty Neidhart's going to be able to be the base to hold that chick?
She's strong, man.
Holy hell, not that strong. No. I mean, yeah, hell, I could lift up my 3-year-old son, but don't ask me to, lift up some 250-pound woman.
Yeah.
No. I saw that and I screamed. I was like, no, God, no. This is so fake. It's so stupid. No. I can understand if Nia Jax was the base, then I can understand that. Because she could easily carry Natty or Charlotte on her shoulder, and she can run laps with them on her shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Not the other way around. And Natty's the smallest one out there. Holy hell!
She's small, but she's stronger than Charlotte.
Listen, dude. Here's the thing. I don't care.
No.
I don't care. It made no sense. They had that one spot where Nia Jax after the table was before the table was broken, where Charlotte and Nia were like messing with the table board, and they were doing like a tug of war. I was looking up and I was like, Charlotte, listen, you're gonna give it a go, girl, but you ain't gonna win this one. You're gonna have to take the L. But a lot of what the match was is that, hey, we're trying to neutralize Nia Jax. The problem is that, again, the reason why I don't like that table spot being done is because when you get dropped, you have two women powerbomb you from the apron to a table. That should be the end of your night. Should be the end of your night.
Not if you're Nia Jax.
Not if you're Nia Jax. And 3 minutes later, she's right back in there.
Lou, I'm actually shocked that you didn't peep. I was so bothered with the Charlotte Flair, Nia Jax exchanges. Charlotte was getting the better of her every time. They went forearm to forearm.
It shouldn't be happening. It shouldn't happen because Nia Jax.
This was not
Nia
close.
Jax is so much bigger.
I'm not a Nia Jax fan, and I want Charlotte to beat her 10 out of 10 times. However, for us to trade forearms, boom, and for Nia to be doing all the selling, and Charlotte's like, whatever.
Listen,
I'm not okay with that.
Listen, all I know is that if Charlotte was to get the upper hand and Charlotte were to get 3 or 4 shots on Nia and Nia backs up, Nia needs to hit her with 1 shot, and Charlotte's got to take a knee and go the other way.
Yeah, it was reverse.
That's what I'm saying. Like, see, things like that. I didn't catch that, but things like that make no sense.
Yeah.
Nia Jax is 6'1", 260 pounds.
She might be more. Who knows?
But what I'm saying is that
she's
physically so much more dominating than any other woman on the roster. That, listen, Charlotte Flair is presented as Superwoman. I get it, but at the same time, it's like you have to do the right in your selling. You can get Nia Jax down because Nia Jax can make a mistake. Then you and Natty can double team her. You can put her down. And the fact is that the two of them believably can put her down in the context of the match because all 3 of them have been in there the entire time. So Nia Jax can get tired, and then you could put her down. Certain spots looked really stupid. I think the ending was actually not half bad. I was okay with the ending of the match because, with Charlotte Flair getting the figure 8 on Nia Jax.
I was scared watching that, bro.
Yeah.
I thought they were gonna break Natty's legs. I'm like, please,
no.
Nia, don't do a splash.
No, and here's the thing. No. And then when Natty Neidhart then puts the sharpshooter on Charlotte, she gets cut off, and then it's 1-on-1 with Nia Jax and Natty at the end, and Natty's trying to put the sharpshooter. I know that wasn't going to happen, but it's good contextual thing because she's the baby face. She's trying to put her finish. Clearly, she wasn't going to do it against Nia Jax. Nia hits the Samoan, tries to hit the Samoan drop the first time. Natty fights out of it. They go through another sequence of moves. 40 seconds later, boom, she gets hit with it. 1, 2, 3. I was like, fine. I was okay with the finish, because Charlotte Flair was part of the finish, but since she was out on the floor, you could say that, hey, she took an ass kicking throughout the match. It wasn't like Charlotte Flair got the upper hand on everybody. She took her lumps too. It's just a matter that, hey, she got thrown out to the floor like any multi-person match. Yeah. Somebody's got to be selling on the floor in order for the match to finish. And then, Charlotte gets in there like 3.25, and she's like, damn it, if I would have just had another second, I would have been able to stop the count. That's the way to finish the match. The only thing is with Natty Neidhart, I was a little surprised that, Natty gets carried out, but I'd like to see, because the fact that she's been having this whole temper tantrum and the quote-unquote unprofessional thing, which I hate, because with Natty, it's like they're always finding all these silly things to do with her. I'm like, listen, she's talented. She's a great wrestler. She's gorgeous. She's been with you guys forever. What more do you need? You don't need to put any of these accoutrements on her to make her more of a character. Just let her go out there and wrestle and have her win every now and then.
Yeah.
You know, she's not out there to be the person that loses in these big matches all the time.
Then we get R-Truth and Rob Gronkowski cutting a promo. R-Truth does his job. You know, he doesn't know if it's Tom Brady or Gronk. That's fine. Let's not talk about that. That doesn't matter. Rob goes on to cut what might be the worst promo in wrestling history
of all time.
It is so bad. Talk about of all time. This was probably the worst promo of all time.
The worst promo ever.
Easily.
And considering that this is pre-taped, why don't we have another go? No one noticed that this was horrible? Is this supposed to be the gimmick that Rob Gronkowski is horrible?
They probably tried all day long to shoot that. That's probably the best one they got.
That's probably the best one they got. You're probably right. Look, I don't understand. Every time someone, like you see someone in another sport and you look and you go, this guy is guaranteed to be able to be a great wrestling star. It's like not what you expect. This guy has so much charisma in the NFL, yet in front of WWE television programming, he's like the corniest guy. Like no one cares. He's like a complete loser.
I never want to see him again.
Anyway, because of this promo, this is what needs to happen. We need to set up a match. It needs to be at a pay-per-view, right? Rob Gronkowski makes his entrance. Then all I want to hear is, you know, the knock on the door, boom, boom, boom. Security guard knocks on the door, boom, boom, boom. R-Truth, full Goldberg gimmick, needs to come out with the pyro. He needs to come out, spear, jackhammer, 1, 2, 3, get Rob Gronkowski the fuck out of here, send him back to the NFL, give him a Goldberg squash, and that is it.
Well, you know that's not going to happen. They're going to have a stadium stampede match. He's going to roll him up right in the end zone.
No.
We need to just bury Gronk and make sure he never bury him so hard that he never comes back. He doesn't come back in a year.
Let me tell you, I text Vic right away. I'm like, dude, go watch this Gronk promo. It is the worst of all time.
Listen.
This man was lit. First, he takes off his glasses, and you literally see him reading word for word what he's saying. Then he puts his shades back on. And then he takes them off again and puts them on the back of his head. I'm like, this is terrible.
And says a horrible
Keep your shades on.
I got eyes in the back of my head. And the shades don't fit him right. They look horrible on him. He came off as the biggest nerd of all time.
Loser. Loser. He should have kept the shades on and kept reading whatever he was reading. When he took the shades off, all I saw was cross-eyed. Reading. It was brutal. I can't believe I sat through it.
I will say this for Rob Gronkowski. He has a ton of charisma. Here's the thing about Rob Gronkowski. He's got a lot of charisma. Unfortunately for him in professional wrestling, he's a goofball. Like his natural personality is a goofball. And the problem is that you can't have Rob Gronkowski be a goofball and the guy who's chasing after him is Ron Killings, who's also a goofball. It's stupid. So obviously Gronk is trying to act serious, which is not in his wheelhouse, and he's not a natural actor. So obviously his promos are going to be awful. Again, it's the 24/7 title. For goodness sake, just get Gronk on one of these WWE shows, have him lose the title, shake hands, here's your payday, thank you very much. We'll see you in NFL camp. Get this belt off of him. It's awful. It's terrible. Please, just get this thing off of him. I understand that the WWE.
You know what I'd like? I'd like for him to.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Honestly, Gronk, keep the belt. Disappear with it. We'd never want to see the belt again.
You know what?
Bury it in the end zone.
You know what, Chris?
You're right.
You're right. Bury that.
Hand it to Tom Brady. Let him hang it up in his house. We never want to see it again.
Okay, so then we have the main event. We got the Street Profits, who are now nerds in my eyes, but whatever. And they're going up against MVP and Bobby Lashley. And I will say this. Shout out to WWE for utilizing someone like MVP. Yes, okay, we don't want to push you and make you, one of the top wrestlers because whatever, you're past your prime. However, this guy's a really, really good talker. Like, he can talk his ass off. He can get heat. A lot of people, like, when he talks and he's a heel, those fans start to hate him. Like, it feels like they really, really hate him. At least that's how I feel sometimes. I'm like, yeah, I think I want to punch this guy in the face. And, Lashley is good with, he's very similar to Apollo Crews. They're damn near freaking twins. Bobby Lashley's the big version. And it's the same thing when they cut promos. So, if MVP is going to cut Bobby Lashley's promos, good. I think everybody wins in that situation. Street Profits get the win. Whatever. But Lashley, ultimately, the most important, part of this is how good Lashley looks, beating the shit out of everybody, getting a ton of heat and pissing off McIntyre and setting that match up. That was the purpose of this match. And, Lashley did look vicious and strong and dangerous. And I wish Lashley would have won a few more matches and make it a little bit more obvious that, he's the number one contender. But, whatever. It was, solid. Not great, but it was okay.
Yeah, I guess ultimately the main thing here is setting up for the title match. I'm just happy for and Drew actually to bring this back full circle. Had their title match, which I thought. Did you send me that pic or when they had their title match in TNA? Did you send me that? I feel like you
I don't
sent me
know.
that.
I don't know if I don't think I sent you that. If it was recently, it wasn't me. But
did we watch that together or something?
If it was back in the day,
whatever. But just
they had some pay-per-view matches in TNA that were pretty good. Lashley had a lot of good matches in TNA, and McIntyre has been good ever since he left WWE the first time. McIntyre has been, really, really good. So they can have a good match for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to them facing off. Sucks that this is Lashley's first title match after these past few years. He's been back. We wanted to see the Brock Lashley showdown. At least me. But yeah, kudos to MVP for getting involved and helping this man get over.
Yeah, this was a great segment with a few little hiccups, but I actually want to backtrack because earlier in the night, MVP did his lounge segment,
VIP.
The VIP lounge segment with Drew McIntyre. So obviously the whole purpose of that segment was to set up the match for the pay-per-view, talking about it, saying, hey, no contract, no contact. I thought that was really cool. Obviously here, McIntyre kicks MVP, lays him out, and then Lashley comes out, and then they're like ready to go, but MVP's like, no. He's all messed up, but he's like, no. Then they introduce Lana into the picture. Lana's trying to give him ice to console him. He's basically like, it basically tells her to go piss off. Then they walk past the Street Profits in the locker room, and he's like, look at the Street Profits. Two young brothers with all this talent wasted and, whatever. Basically saying what we're saying, doing it in character. And the Street Profits, they take exception to it and say like, all right, fam, you got an issue. And then that's when MVP lays down the challenge. This is perfectly done because it's designed to be able to get Bobby Lashley in a match. Obviously, you don't want Bobby Lashley to beat a singles wrestler because I don't think there's anybody available for Lashley to squash. This match was very well done. The setup to it. The match in and of itself was okay. Obviously, when Bobby Lashley starts the match with Montez Ford, and basically Bobby Lashley just takes Montez Ford's lunch and is just beating him up, tags MVP. The babyfaces never got a shine in the beginning of the match. Again, it's usually typical tag team match. Babyfaces will get a bit of a shine. The heels then go for the attack. It would have been better had MVP started the match, because then the baby faces could get their shine. MVP can then get away, tag Lashley. Lashley takes their lunch, and then the heels can get their heat. They didn't do that. Now, Montez Ford gets away from MVP. He tags in Angelo Dawkins. Angelo Dawkins starts getting the babyface comeback, and then he tags Montez Ford in like 30 seconds later. And Montez Ford is literally up and jumping and doing all. I'm like, dude, you've been getting your ass for the last 8 minutes. Then I just did this like, yo, you just buried the heels, whether unintentional or not. You buried the heels. You're not Superman. Bobby Lashley's 260 pounds of solid rock muscle. There's not an ounce of fat on that guy. If Bobby Lashley were to hit me once, I'm not getting up until the next day. You've been getting your ass kicked by this guy in a competitive match where you've been trying. I'll give you that, but you haven't gotten the upper hand. So the match continues. The baby faces are getting their heat on MVP for the most part. They're getting their comeback on MVP. They get a few spots on Lashley to get him down, and that's fine. Then Lashley gets in and says, all right, enough of this nonsense. He goes in illegally, puts the full Nelson on Montez Ford, and then John Cone does. Thank you, John Cone. Thank you. He did this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then he called for the bell. He disqualified somebody. Thank God. Referee finally does their job and disqualifies somebody for breaking the freaking rules. So it was the perfect way to end the match because it puts all the heat on Lashley. The Street Profits suffer nothing because they don't get beat. And then it forces McIntyre to come out to break it up. And then what do? Again, under the COVID-19 deal, it's a little bit sketchy to do this, but they did the right thing. McIntyre comes out. He starts fighting with Bobby Lashley. You going to tell me that John Cone is going to be able to separate those guys? I don't think so. So he's calling for help. And it's like, nobody's coming out. Nobody.
Wait on it.
The officials in the back are like, hell no, we ain't touching this. So what does he do? He goes to the crowd. Hey, guys, come in and help. 2 guys come in, and I was just like, that's cute. You're going to have 2 dudes try to separate this? Nah, my dude, it ain't happening. Boom! One guy goes down. Boom! The next guy goes down. John Cone, the referees, loses. Like, oh, my God, this is out of control. He's like, every single dude who's in this stand, get in the ring. And then all of a sudden, you got a dozen dudes in the ring separating these guys. And I know that with the COVID-19 thing, it's a little bit, it's a little sketchy with so many people together or whatever.
They'll be fine.
But listen, I'm just saying, even no matter who does it, I'm always gonna kind of have that little bit of a thing, at least for now. But they did the right thing. Separate these freaking dudes. It looked like a fight. It looked like, oh my God, this is tense. They're gonna get at each other. And you had a dozen grown professional wrestlers, big, strong dudes, having to hold these guys back. Yeah, you just pulled the Mike Tyson there on me, Vic.
Sorry.
The yawn.
It's past my bedtime.
But what I'm saying is that the finish of the show was excellently done. It was done properly.
I will say this before we get out of here. How nice was it to have a main event, right? You had MVP included in the main event, and I don't know if you've seen this video going around when Kofi won the title. MVP and Chad Gaspard shedding a tear, for Kofi. So, like, how sweet. What a nice little touch by WWE having 4, black performers close out the show. Look, it's just a nice little thing, a nice little detail.
I will say this is that for MVP is going to be perfect in this manager role. I know that he's working as a producer for WWE, and listen, I've met MVP. He's a really super cool guy, and I'm glad that he's back in WWE because I think that his talent, even though I know that he's not going to be a full-time wrestler, he'll wrestle on occasion, but he's going to lend a lot of credibility to Bobby Lashley because in all honesty, the one thing that WWE's been trying to do, and I guess, I'm not going to say that anybody's been listening to this show that works in WWE, but I've been saying for a long time, stop giving the dude a personality. He's a monster. Look at him. It's all the personality you need. Just give him a mouthpiece. Lana's not the mouthpiece. Leo Rush could have been the mouthpiece, but I think MVP is more believable because MVP is suave, and he's got that whole suave. He looks like the Don King to his Mike Tyson, and he plays that character off really well. He's really smooth. He talks well. But when MVP says something and he puts some bass in his voice, you believe him. And he's got the muscle behind him. And Lashley, if you just cut Lashley loose and let him be a monster, it's a perfect marriage to have those two guys work together. So, and for the Street Profits, I think that, again, notwithstanding some of the layouts of the match, but I do like the Street Profits. I'm glad that they got to work with Lashley and MVP because I think that to a certain degree, I'm hoping that the follow-up to this is that the Street Profits, after getting the ass whipping, it's gonna put a little bit of fire under their belts, even though, again, if they do this silly stuff with the Street Profits, but hopefully they keep that in the back of their mind to be like, you know what, we got to cut this goofy stuff out because if we basically, Bobby Lashley came and took our lunch, and if it wasn't for the referee calling for the bell, he would have broke my neck. And in Montez Ford's case. So, he probably bought Drew McIntyre a beer after the show for saving him, literally for saving his neck. But I'm just saying, realistically, there's a lot of this show had a lot of good. I mean, it had some bad. Yes, it had some bad to it, but it has some good foundational things that they're building on, and hopefully, just keep building on that foundation. I think WWE, Raw is going in the right direction, and thank you, please, for bringing in audience. Thank you.
Yeah, agreed.
Raw, those WWE shows, no matter what they do in the ring, man, they've been painful to watch because there's no reaction, no crowd, no nothing, sterile. So having, hopefully for NXT and SmackDown and whatever, they'll figure it out, and hopefully they'll kind of let the performers, at least cut loose a little bit, because yes, they were still looked like they were heavily produced. My only thing is that for the NXT talents that are on TV and that have had storylines, have them play to their characters. I know that Jessamine Duke was one of the audience members, and she was jumping up and down like a little schoolgirl. And I'm like, no, you're a heel. Don't do that. You're a heel. Yeah. I'm okay with Shotzi Blackheart doing that. I'm okay with, some of the babyface characters doing that, but not you. You should just be sitting there all stoic like, yeah, what the?
Hey, if you're going to have everyone out there, basically just being robots, if you don't value, what's her name, Jessica Duke?
Jessamine Duke, yeah.
Jessamine Duke. If you don't value her, then yeah, you can keep her out there. She could be a robot. If you value her, anyone who you value and you plan on putting on NXT television, don't have them out there being robots. It's just
I just think really just let the audience react to the stuff that they react to. Just let it be organic and
there's 150 people working in 150 talent in NXT.
True. Listen, it's
you
true.
can get the 60 that we don't ever get to see and put them all out there.
And I'll tell you, it's one of those things where, again, this was an experiment, and in round one, I'll say I'm happy to see them. It wasn't
took
perfect.
them long enough.
It took them long enough. I'm happy to see them. It wasn't perfect. Let's see what happens in round two with NXT.